Nothing, nothing is going right. Close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there, yeah, to brighten even your darkest night. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'm running, yeah, to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you gotta do is call again, and I will be there, yeah, yeah, yeah. You're not afraid, yeah.
NAMH is a not-for-profit, statewide organization primarily consumer staffed. We're an expressive arts, vocational, and advocacy agency, and our mission is the advancement of individuals with psychiatric disabilities. Through expressive arts and our innovative programs, we educate the public about mental health issues and the stigma and discrimination that we face. We believe that recovery is possible and that art does heal. And we welcome you to support our goal that societal attitudes can be changed.
This, no doubt, this year is the world's largest art show for mental health in the world, no doubt. There is approximately 1,285 art pieces, 640 artists, and 58 counties represented. The exhibition today exemplifies freedom of expression, creativity, and individuality. For centuries, it has been observed that many of the world's most gifted artists have experienced episodes of mental illness. Today, I want to talk about a visionary journey of becoming united through our creativity, our human uniqueness, and how each of us play an important role. I often think about where we are in the consumer movement, our past, present, and future, and all the struggles and suffering that still actively continues. But through the self-help movement, a positive, active path is unfolding. What is our future? How can I or any one of us be part of the solution? How can creativity and expressive arts help improve ourselves individually, for one another, and to be change agents for the betterment of society? I envision a path that will take us to a place where there is trust, hope, dignity, and respect, love for one another, a place to make our own self-empowered decisions, a place where we can all heal and recover, a peaceful place where we can find happiness. Realizing your own visions and dreams represents our evolution of the movement. As we travel across our chosen paths, I can feel the start of a whirling windstorm with loud thunder and lightning, and it began with a few who dared, and then thousands upon thousands have now arrived with what is called the movement. I believe we have embraced and harnessed the storm with force, but we only have just begun to obtain a strong, united voice. Can you imagine this path of our future taking us over a fast rushing river with twists and turns to a part where there is a beautiful lake that is crystal clear, calm days where each and every one of us could find peace and happiness, where there are no storms, only warmth, sunny days and nature beautiful. Expressive arts are central in our quest for a community that understands and supports us, where we can enjoy creativity and self-expression with freedom to be ourselves, where we could play old and young, all disabilities and diversified groups, where we sing, paint, write, and dance together united, where we could settle our differences through listening, negotiation, compromise, and most of all, with passion for each other. I believe recipients, family members, providers, political leaders, and the public at large can find common ground and unite. Personally, I hunger for such a community like this. Why can't there be? A place where power is shared, rather than to dominate and control. A place of equality. A place where there is no stigma associated with mental illness and the end of discrimination and oppression for all. Where instead of collecting materialistic items, we become self-fulfilled, nourish the rest of our culture by being creative and by becoming a caring person, and to help one another to go on the journey together, united. Many of us probably thought that the Berlin Wall would never fall, and that Russia would never change, or the Middle East would never find peace. But these dreams do happen. We envision a future where we, as individuals and groups, can change our communities and meet the challenges of tomorrow by making a better society to live in. Art makes living worthwhile in the mirror of our lives. Our art does reflect history, our suffering and pain, our healing, our joys. These are gifts that make us and the world whole. In closing, as we travel through our journey together, we become more aware, expand our consciousness, increase our self-acceptance, and find value in ourselves and others. Some of us may take huge steps, others tiny steps, but each one of us can improve our lives and the lives of others through our profound creative talents. The world is a better place because all of us have made it so. Thank you.
When the sky above you grows dark and full of clouds, that old north winds blow.
As Frank said, I'm here not only to represent myself in the Office of Mental Health, but the governor. It's an honor for me too. It's a great pleasure for me to be here today and to speak on behalf of Governor George Pataki and the New York State Office of Mental Health. As you know, this is the 4th annual statewide exhibition of art by artists who are recovering from psychiatric disabilities. And all around us, we can see tangible proof that creativity and recovery are acknowledged and are closely intertwined. And I'd like to wish each of the artists gathered here and those who are not present today great success in the future. And I want to pledge to you the continuing support of the Office of Mental Health in ensuring that these annual art exhibitions continue for many years to come.
That's terrific. There's a lot of very high-quality artwork that is here that I want to urge people throughout the area to see while the artwork is on display. And I'm also very grateful that some artwork from Brooklyn also came up. And I think all of us know that art is part of the strength and creativity of the human spirit, and what is reflected here, to me, reflects some of the great new power of the consumer movement, the recipient movement in mental illness. And you are making a tremendous contribution through this artwork and through this consumer movement to lifting the spirits of many people and enabling them to recover and to rehabilitate and to create a great new emphasis in our society on optimism and confidence in recovery from mental illness as part of our society. And we can see that reflected in the bill just passed by the United States Senate that requires parity between physical health care and mental health care. And that's something that is going to be a growing power and force right here in the state of New York, in the state assembly, and in other areas where we can ultimately try to achieve that same goal here in New York. Acquaint the legislature with your power. So thank you very much.
Of course, if politicians could be as creative as the artists who created these works, we could say what we had to say a lot faster and in a lot fewer words, but we're not always that creative. 30 years ago, I worked at the Psychiatric Institute in New York, and there was a very interesting situation that occurred at that time. We had a patient who was photographing telephone poles, telephone wires, high-tension poles, high-tension towers. They were beautiful, beautiful pictures. And the therapists at Psychiatric took all of these pictures and analyzed them and analyzed them and analyzed them. They were straight lines. And they were trying to figure out what this patient was trying to say to them. They did that for about a month. And finally, they called the patient in and they said to him, "We've seen these pictures. What is it that you're trying to say?" And he said, "Well, I wasn't trying to say anything. I thought this was beautiful, and I thought it was artistic, and I was expressing myself." And the truth is, they were beautiful pictures. That patient was absolutely right. It is a wonderful thing to see creative, expressive art. And that's what I see here. Creative art therapy certainly does a number of things. It enhances one's self-esteem. It enhances one's self-awareness. It may, on occasion, be a road to a certain therapy, but overall, it is wonderful, creative art.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you here. Frank, you've done a great job. All of the artists have done a wonderful job. I wish if the legislature, maybe we should have a legislative art show, make us feel better. Maybe we'd pass the budget on time. But I also wanted to acknowledge really my colleague, Betty Connolly, who really is the First Lady of Mental Health in New York State, for everything that she's done.
Good afternoon to all of you. It is so good to be here again and to see the numbers that have come out, to look at the marvelous work. It's very satisfying to know that the self-help and the advocacy groups have been so progressive, have been so successful. You know and I know that there are no limits to what you can do, no limits to where we can go, and what you contribute to the rest of us in bringing such bright and cheerful beauty to our lives. Thank you for coming here today. Thank you for continuing to believe in yourselves, and we are so grateful to you for everything that you do for us. Thank you.
Close your eyes and look at me, and soon I will be there, yeah, to brighten even your darkest night.
I thank you all for being here and shedding such a positive light on mental illness by highlighting the talents and abilities of recipients within the mental community as a whole. I myself am on the Community Services Board of the county, and of course, I am also an advocate for people with mental illness. My son is has mental illness and is serviced by the VA system. I am concerned about the cuts in the budget this year, and I implore all the legislators, the governor, the legislators, and you people, rise up and make our issues and our concerns known. I believe we've been doing that. We've been holding a vigil on the Capitol steps every Tuesday night, and we go down with our candles, and we won't let the light go out until the budget is passed and until the cuts are restored.
I often think of a song by Bob Dylan, that life is an endless highway. In our quick fix society, when we expect immediate gratification or result, where our mental health dollars are based on outcome, I protest that art programs are also crucial to recovery. I am reminded of an experience in a psychiatric ward at New York University Medical Center a decade ago. In that hospital, they had an expressive arts room with an electric typewriter and lots of paper and art supplies. It was a place where people gathered. One morning, a woman was escorted into the room by a staff member. She had not spoken since her arrival the previous day. Her whole body was rigid as she sat at the table. The staff member handed her a paintbrush, which was held in her hand awkwardly. Suddenly, she plunged the brush into red paint and began to swish it back and forth on the paper. The staff member put her arms around the woman and said, "It's all right to be angry. It's all right to be angry about being here. It's all right to be." The woman cried uncontrollably for some time and then spoke about her pain. The red paint was a nonverbal message. It was a door that begged to be opened. I wonder how many days shortened was this woman's hospital stay by this experience with the non-invasive, humane, alternative method of treatment that expressive art provides. Our many programs at NAMH focus on recovery through the expressive arts. One of our most exciting is the Pillars of Unrest project that is exhibited here today. This expressive art project focuses on healing and recovery from the stigma and discrimination of mental illness. It is used as a vehicle to bring about public awareness regarding mental health issues. The pillowcase is used as a canvas, so chosen because our pillow is often used as a means of escape from the prevailing effects of stigma in our society, and our sleep is often accompanied by nightmares and affected by medications. Each pillowcase is a message, an individual story, and a voice. In the processes of creating a pillow of unrest, often deep-seated issues and experiences with stigma are unveiled and discussed, as we have experienced in the workshops that we give. Documenting these emotions through expressive art is healing and empowering. It is also a gift to educate the public and a testimony to self-help and recovery through expressive art.
Self-help works. Self-help works because people who are discriminated against and stigmatized can get together and form social networks. It's the first reason. Frank has a network all over the state. North River Gallery has a network all over the state and all over the nation. The second reason is because people can change from being helped all the time to being helpers. When you change to being a helper, you begin to feel better about yourself. I mean, after all, helping is what gives meaning to many people's lives in America. When you're helped all the time, you tend to become helpless and hopeless and give up. So changing roles, I've seen a lot at National Artists. Something else that really helps is having hope. Finding somebody or seeing somebody or hearing somebody whose problems that you've had, talk about their lives and how they've pulled it together. And again, North River Gallery does that extremely well. There's a lot of heroes at North River Gallery. People also share how they cope, and Frank, with his Pillars of Unrest project, has invented, I think, one very fundamental way of coping, and that is expressing yourself on a pillow. But people in self-help share mechanisms for coping with symptoms, and North River Gallery does that very well. Finally, instead of having a structure imposed upon you from the outside, in self-help you can create your own meaningful structure, which, since you choose it, you're motivated to do. you're motivated to follow the structure. Without choice in our society, there's no motivation. Without choice in our society, there's no responsibility. Any of you think of why you're responsible is because you've chosen something. If we aren't given choice, then you can't expect us to be responsible. If we're not allowed to recover, then you can't expect us to be responsible. If we're not allowed to engage in turning our anger at some of the things that have happened to us within the mental health system into advocacy, then please get out of the way.
The creation of an artwork, like the process of recovery itself, is an intensely personal experience. One may be taught skills or be encouraged to develop insights, but both the process of creating art or the process of recovering from an illness is a personal journey which one must make alone. Each of you has risen to this dual challenge in your lives. Each of you has successfully completed a stage of your journey, and the evidence of your journey is here on these walls. Each of you should be justifiably proud of your success, and I'm proud to know that the OMH Art Space program contributed in a small way toward making your journey possible. To my friends and colleagues at National Artists for Mental Health, who are now the managers of the Art Space program, you have our gratitude for a job well done, our support for your future work. I wish all of you continued health, success, and creativity, and a future that exceeds even your own high expectations.
If birds fly over the rainbow, why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why? Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless.
All I did is what my art teacher told me to do. Draw something like realistic. So I just pick up a Crayola watercolor and just did this in less than 10 or 15 minutes. My first time I did something realistic.
Wow, that's practically like an Audubon.
Well, this is my first time, that's the thing.
Wow.
I've never been to an art school in my life, that's the sad part. My art teacher told me to try to draw something like it realistic. These are my first attempt to try to draw something realistic.
Hi, I'm Roger O'Fool, and this is my work. And this is what I donated to the National Artists for Mental Health. And I have my own art gallery. It's in Leeds, New York.
My name is Ralph Wygrave. I'm the art director and assistant manager at North River Gallery. This is one of my co-workers, Beverly Berger-Talk, who does the quarterly newspaper. Anything you'd like to say?
About the art show?
Sure.
I think the work is very inspiring, and it all shows so much emotion. And that's what art and healing is all about. So we're really glad to be here, and we look forward to coming back next year.
And how about you? Have you got any words to say here?
Sure. When I first started the program, it was sort of like art classes for drop-in center. And as things progressed and people got to be friends with, other people, started showing that the work in the art was a healing process. And just gave everybody, I guess, enough self-esteem to go on and on with it. So here we are today, 1996. With several hundred pictures from all over, and it's great.
Hey, people don't have to go to see the new Picasso exhibit. They can come here.
Right.
How long will is this just going to be up for today, or will it be up for a little while?
We're taking it down Friday afternoon around about 12 p.m.
Okay.
And then we're going to do 2 shows in Soho, New York.
Well, I'll be there. I'll see you there.
Oh, fine.
Great. Are you come down too for the Soho exhibit?
Looking forward to it.
Okay, good. Well, we'll see you in Soho.
Thank you.
Nice talking to you.